During Donald Trump's completely off-the-walls press conference on Thursday afternoon from his Bedminster golf course, he was asked, after, rambling like a lunatic for 40 minutes, he finally took questions from the press, and one of the reporters just kind of asked him, like, hey man, things are going pretty bad for you. Do you think maybe you will change your tactic? Because you're doing a lot of personal attacks, and, it's not working. And upon getting that question, which of course I'm kind of paraphrasing there, but upon getting that question, Donald Trump completely fell apart, didn't even really know how to respond, but then admitted that he's going to completely ignore all the advice from smart people and keep doing stupid stuff. So here is Donald Trump's very long, rambling, incoherent response to a simple question of, are you going to stop being dumb? Here he is.
Many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today. Yeah. Is that a sign of a shifting strategy?
No, I think it's a sign of we want to close it out. We have great people. Susie is fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic. They're leading it. Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be, personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job. Look, we've taken, with all of the abuse we've taken from the fake news media, all of this horrific abuse we take, and all I want to do is make the country good. All I want to do is have strong borders and good education. We want to have choice for education. So important, so many different things. You would think it would be the other way. We rebuilt the military. We did so many great things. But that's the way it's been for Republicans, and I guess more so for me than anybody in history, and that's okay. Because we're leading in the polls. For the most part, we're leading in the polls. We were leading Biden by a lot. We're leading now, but I think when she's exposed, I think we're going to beat her by a lot more than we would have beaten Biden by, because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time. She doesn't have that. People don't know who she is. As far as the personal attacks, her because of what she's done to the country. I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called J.D. and I weird. He's not weird. He was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State, graduated in 2 years.
Now, it may not have been immediately clear in that clip what question the reporter was asking, so after listening to Donald Trump's response, let me remind you, this was the question. Mr. President, as many of your allies who want you to win in November say, your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today. Is that a sign of a shifting strategy? And he fell apart. He's like, I got Lewandowski back. I'm bringing back the greatest hits of the people who really didn't do anything to help my image last time. And then he's like, well, I deserve it. She called me weird. She called J.D. Vance weird. Oh my God, we're weird. No, they're weird. You know, that's a great way, by the way, of letting us know that something is getting under your skin without explicitly saying it got under your skin. I mean, this man thinks he is entitled to personal attacks against the Vice President of the United States. Nobody is entitled to attack anybody else for any reason. You're not entitled to it. Now, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Nobody can stop you as long as you don't get into the realm of slander, libel, and defamation. But you are not entitled to anything. And the fact that you think you are entitled to attack this woman just kind of shows voters like, okay, this guy is totally off his rocker at this point. But the big thing that this reporter wanted to know was like, listen, what you're doing doesn't work. Everybody around you tells you it doesn't work. Republicans in DC tell you it doesn't work. People on Truth Social, your regular, average, everyday followers, tell you it doesn't work. So are you gonna listen to anybody? And of course, the resounding answer to that is no. Because as I've repeatedly said, Donald Trump is like a teenager, a rebellious teenager. You tell them not to do something, and suddenly that's the only thing they want to do. That's how Trump is right now. That's his mentality. It is, again, as I've said, this form of arrested development. He got into a rebellious phase at some point in his life and never outgrew it. He never matured because he never had to. In the business world, sure, maybe that kind of personality can help you, but in the realm of American politics, it can only take you so far. You got by in 2016 on luck. The Electoral College saved you. If it were up to the actual voters, you lost by more than 3 million votes. 4 years later, you lost by more than 8 million votes. The voters have rejected you twice. The last 2 presidential elections, voters in America rejected you. And one of the big reasons was because you're an a-hole. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. That's why voters hate you. It's not just about your policy. Most people don't even know what your policies are. Hell, you don't know what your policies are. You were asked during that press conference, like, okay, you're talking about inflation. What are you going to do? How are you going to fix it? And his response to that was, well, the way we fix it is people go to the polls in November and vote for Donald J. Trump. That's not an answer. That's not a policy position. That's not a platform. He has no answers to these questions, which, again, as I've said, drives me up the wall when these conservatives are like, dude, you got to stick to policy. Really? That's what yesterday, or Thursday was. Sticking to policy. And he couldn't name a single policy. He's even worse, believe it or not, talking about policy than he is when he's going on the personal attacks. He's bad all around. And bringing in a guy like Mr. Womp Womp himself, Corey Lewandowski, that's not going to help. Because Lewandowski is just the exact same as Trump. He's just going to send out somebody even worse than he is to go do media appearances on his behalf. He is failing so hard. And the press is just kind of treating it like, hey, maybe you do this, maybe you don't. I don't know. What are you going to do? They're a bunch of babies. The press shouldn't have even shown up at that idiotic golf course on Thursday. That was, strike 1. Strike 2 is these kind of softball questions. You could have really hammered it home. By the way, when he pointed out in that, incoherent response, I'm winning in all the polls, the reporter did not say, no, you're not. No, I'm sorry. Let me stop you right there. But you're not going to sit here and lie to us. That's what should have happened. You do not let this man who is taking up your time, you're doing him a favor by being there. And you let him lie without calling him out on it, waiting for the fact checkers back in the studio to put out their post on social media or on your website. And the public watching it doesn't hear the fact check. They don't see it. So the press is doing grotesque journalistic malpractice by even showing up to these events. All of this just to say, of course, that Donald Trump is terrified. His response to that question shows how scared he is. It was a softball question, should have been an easy answer, and he completely, totally fumbled it. He fell apart. He didn't know where he was going with the next thing he was going to say. It was just this wild roller coaster ride of verbal diarrhea, which is the worst roller coaster you could possibly be on. But that is where we are with the Trump campaign. And unfortunately, the media sat right there riding that roller coaster the entire time without ever once stopping to say, wait a minute, this ride kind of sucks. I think it's time for all of us to get off. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.